ever heard the expression that numbers don't lie? That's a pretty common expression that people, well, I'm here to tell you that that is very, very untrue. You can actually lie with numbers a lot. I see it happening on my Facebook feed all the time. Sometimes it ranges from somebody just kind of misinterpreting the information a little bit. But to be honest, there's a lot of people out there that are just plain shady and use the numbers to deliberately lie to you. There are people in America right now as we speak who bought their first home and are now living in apartments because the home they bought ended up costing more than the person who sold them the house said it was going to, because they didn't understand the math for figuring out how much the house payment was going to be, or that it started out at one amount but then it was going up. Like, there's a lot of issues right now with people just trying to be shady. And I would say that there's probably not a better time for you to be able to understand how the math works, probably more than right now, because you see misleading stuff all over the place. But before we can spend the next couple weeks actually analyzing this stuff and seeing whether or not somebody's being shady, we need to do a quick reminder to make sure we remember what these pieces of data are. So that's what this is about, is just double checking and making sure we're good. So this is going to be pretty brief. The majority of the time is going to be you practicing. So first and foremost, the first measure of central tendency that we're going to discuss is the mean. This is the one that when somebody says the average, this is the one they tend to be talking about. And y'all, if anytime you just need to tell me, I know my horrible serial killer handwriting, it's like the worst. If you need to tell me, I can't read that, let me know. I'll rewrite it. It doesn't hurt my feelings. I've been dealing with my bad handwriting for a long time. I've actually heard, somebody told me years ago that really bad handwriting is actually, so those of you guys that have bad handwriting, supposedly it means that you're really smart because it's like your brain is working faster than your hand can. I choose to believe it even if it's not true, because obviously it makes me feel better about myself.
I think they wanted that to happen. So you felt better about yourself.
Well, I think that was a great strategy.
So what does it
All
mean
right.
if handwriting is really good?
It means you're smart too. All right, how do we find the mean, guys? Somebody remind me how I find it real quick. What do I do?
You add every number up and divide by the amount of numbers.
Correct. We're going to add all those numbers together. Step 1. And then step 2 is you divide by how many you have. So if you were to scroll out, you guys have the worksheet in front of you, so I'm not going to scroll out. You're going to see that our pieces of data, like on this little graphic organizer, are those little t-shirt prices that are kind of spread out around like the top, the bottom, side to side. And so, bless you. And so for our first example, I'm going to remind you how you would find the average of all of those numbers. You guys are going to see that I'm a big color coder. I like putting stuff in color when we're doing steps. That's why I've given you guys like highlighters and colored pencils and stuff too, in case you're like me. So the very first thing is we're going to add all these numbers together. So all these little t-shirt prices. I know that you guys know how to add, especially since you have those nice calculators. So we're not going to spend time adding these numbers together.
I did this worksheet in 6th grade.
Shut up. You did not. Really?
The same exact one.
That's hilarious.
That's really funny.
Yeah, I did this too.
All right. So the sum, when you add them together, that's why we're hustling. So if you add them together, that sum is $94.98. So what I did is, I'm just kind of speeding through here because I want to get to where you guys actually do the practice.
Wait, all the t-shirts on the sheet?
So all the t-shirts on this sheet, if you add all 10 of those prices, you get $94.98. After you find that sum, then we're going to do step 2, which is dividing by how many numbers we have. Now that you're in high school, we don't use that little baby division symbol anymore. We use a fraction bar. to represent division. And there are 10 different t-shirt prices. So if we do that $94.98 and we divide it by 10, that gives you 9.498, which obviously we're talking about money, so we need to round that. This little squiggly equal sign is a way of saying approximately. If you're typing, I know you can't do that because there's not like a little thing. So we're just going to round it to $9.50. So is this ringing a bell for everybody? For the mean. Okay, so the mean is actually one that's not necessarily always the best one to use, because if you have a number that's super duper big or super duper little, it really messes with the mean. Look at all those t-shirt prices that are on your paper. Is there one that doesn't seem to fit in with everybody else? Which one is it, Lena?
The $28 one.
Yeah, that $28 one. Relative to the others, I get that's not really, depending on the t-shirt, that's not like a crazy amount of money. But for this particular data set, that's really expensive. What's the word? Anybody know the word for the weirdo that doesn't quite make sense?
Outlier.
Woo! There we go. Oh, good. We had some middle school teachers who definitely.
Should we round up like on tests? If it's 9.498, do we just round up and?
You're gonna round. So the reason I rounded this one was because we were talking about money, so I needed to do 2 decimal places. And you remember that rule, like if it's 5 or above, give it a shove or whatever those cheesy little middle school expressions are. So yeah, that's where that came from. You've never heard that before? Oh,
God, my third grade teacher lived by.
great. Okay, so again, the mean isn't necessarily the best one, because if you have an outlier, the mean can really get jacked up. This word skew is like the big kid word for jacked up. Okay, if you have one that doesn't quite fit in, it can really mess it up, which is why I really appreciate the median. The next one. Where's the median on the interstate? Is it on the side of the road? It's in the middle of the road. And that is why the median is your middle. The only thing we need to be sure when keeping the median in mind is, can you just pluck the middle number that's written on the page?
In a way, no.
What do you have to make
But if
sure
you line them
happens?
up,
Not about rounding. It's not about that. They have to be in order. Don't forget that part.
I said if we line them up.
Oh, I'm sorry. That I did not. Yes,
I
that
don't
should
know where
have.
you got rounding from.
That should. You're right. I have no idea either. They don't necessarily have to be in order from least to greatest. It could be greatest to least. But you're right that least to greatest is typically the way we do it. That's the way most teachers will tell you to do it. So put it in order first, and then find the middle.
This was the only one I actually.
Oh, see, this is the one when I was in school that I always messed up. Yes. We're getting ready to talk about that. What if it is 6 numbers? Okay, so we're not going to spend a whole bunch of time. I'm just going to tell you the order from least to greatest, just because, again, I want us to spend more time practicing. So in order, you should have gotten, so it should be 4, then 4.5, then 6.5, 7, 8, 8, 9. You've got $9.99 twice, and then that expensive $28. Okay, so if you look, you've got these 4 in the front, you've got these 4 in the back, and then you've got those 2 numbers in the middle, right? So what does that mean the median is? Because those are the 2 numbers that are in the middle. 8, exactly. If those 2 numbers didn't happen to be the same, remember all you do is that you just, if there appear to be 2 numbers in the middle, you're going to add and you're going to divide by 2. So if there appear to be two numbers in the middle, you're going to add them together and divide by 2. Sorry, my iPad's dying. All right, so that's our mean, that's our median. What's the mode? The one that turns up the most. Yep. Just making sure we remember. I think the what and the how is kind of all one thing for this. So the turns up the most. You can have no mode. You can have more than one. And what are the two that we have more than any other? If I zoom out, what are the ones that turn up more than any other one? Correct. $9.99 and 8. So those are all examples of measures of central tendency, which means like towards the middle. The last one on here is range. That one is not like how much they are towards the center. And is anybody still writing? You need me to give you a second? Okay, no problem. I can wait a sec. In this case, we had 2 of them that turned up twice, so that's why we've got more than one. Are we good? Is it okay if I go to the range? All right, so the range doesn't determine the center. The range determines how spread the data is. This is actually called a measure of spread, how much they're spread apart. The how is we take the highest and we subtract the lowest. So in this case, the most expensive t-shirt was $28. We're going to subtract the price of the cheapest t-shirt. So we've got a range of 24.